Hello fishy people, it's Friday 17 June 2022 and we are at Petworld XXL, the big South African version of a Petco or a PetSmart big box store as it were, and as you can see it's quite big. It's even got a vet and a grooming section, so let's go see what they have. Right, here we see some cold water fish in these big tanks on the wooden stand. There goes my knees. Some fancy goldfish. Nice black moors here, I like the black color. And the price is not bad. And what I like about them, they give you the parameters, tank size and so on, in which to keep the fish. Some nice ones here. Look at that little fatty. You see there's a UV sterilizer on the setup. Here we've got some koi. And under quarantine, so not available yet. That's what I like, if I have a sort of iffy looking tank, I slap under quarantine on it. That's always a good thing. And then you focus and they all swim away. See, it's a huge setup. Lots of dried goods. There's even a reptile section and a bird section around the corner. Here's another display, a reef tank. They've taken a lot of the fish and the corals out of here since the last time I was here. There's Dory and Nemo at the back, a big regal tank. It's a copperbone butterfly, some goldies. There's a purple tang at the back as well. A blue Gouramis. Cleaneras, and I can see cardinal fish there as well. One of these Red Sea reef tanks with a sump underneath. Alright, let's start from one side to the other. These you don't see often. Some nice little ranchos here. They develop at wen over time, which is that growth around the head. 149, 41.50. And we have some pearl scales. As well as always get confused by the names of a fancy goldfish. There's a lionhead, and of course we go to the guppies. All males in this tank. Some black Moscows. And there's quite a bit of females as well. And those white cory cats, albino cory cats. Some more here. And there at the back, the hill stream loaches, popular algae eater. And they can also handle cooler water, I believe. Looks like a little stingray. $100 a piece. Here's some swordtails. You can see there is a bit of a problem going on there. When they shimmy like that, Like those in the corner is usually some pH shock. Some wagtail platies as well. The swordtails and the platies interbreed, so it's hard to say. When they're in a huddle like that, they may have just arrived here, but I'll leave alone for the time being. Some mollies. And we know that I know those loaches as Pakistani loaches with the markings there. I think they're called yo-yo loaches, is a more popular name today. Here we have some nice platies. $30 one, not too bad. Angels and some peppercorns. Those look like the common plecostomus to me. They grow very large. So only if they have a big tank. And of course all the glowfish. Black widows or black skirt tetras really. I prefer the more natural form. Some leopard gouramis there. The lemon tetra. And also some Bolivian redfin tetras. Another tank under quarantine, that's a good thing. These aquaswell here, there's all albino, tinfoil barbs, and then tiger barbs. Can be nippy in a community, but very nice when you keep them in a good big group of other barbs, like they are here. And a roseline shark or a denizen barb or a red torpedo barb, whatever you want to call that one. It's a nice faster moving strolling fish. Smaller nano fish. Black neons. Redfin rainbows. You can see on the sand they've just had a gravel vac and a bit of a water change here. Bloodfins. Dwarf neon rainbow. My favourite Corridora Sturvey. Very pricey, but very nice. Some cherry barbs, good community fish to start on. Some shrimp. Red King Kong panda shrimp. Oh, I see some tiny cherry shrimps here. Snowball shrimp. Red lily. Bit cheaper. Yellow fire and some ghost shrimp there. balloon black mollies, paradise fish. One of the first fish to be kept in aquariums. Also tolerant of cooler water. Very hardy fish, but can be a bit aggressive. Moonlight gourami, nice and peaceful, grow to a nice size. Need a slightly bigger tank. Some bala sharks, pre-spot gouramis in their golden form. And there you see the red tail or bicolor sharks. They're sort of semi-aggressive, but the trick is only keep one in a tank. You can see them sparring there. You have one in a tank of either the red tail shark. There's an albino rainbow shark, same thing. One in the tank. If the tank is big enough, I found that they don't give a lot of problems. Even seen them work well with larvae cichlids. Those bala sharks though, they are fast swimming species and they grow really big, so only for really big tanks. The pearl gourami and the moonlight gourami is what I would have in a community. We've got some discus. That is a Chinese algae eater. I'll stay well clear. They tend to suck slime off fish and they can become aggressive. Go for the Siamese algae eater. Over there at the back you have albino bristlenose placco. They also make good algae eaters. Then of course the discus. And a couple of big angels here as well. Nice ones. Neon tetras and panda cories. $30 a neon tetra. Low Danos. My favourite here, cardinal tetras. Great in a nice big shoal. There's some celestial pearl danos in there as well. Try and find one that's got a fuller belly and they're hollowed out like that. Means they're aging. Some white skirt tetras. Stantic form of a black widow of a glowfish, and some apple snails, black phantom tetra. There's a couple of bristlenose pleccos. You can see on that white edge on the tail fin the difference between that and a common plecco. They don't grow nearly as big and they do eat some algae as well. Rummy noses, nice tight shoal.
How's that algae eater not aggressive?
Some Mbuna, penguin tetras, hockey sticks, what I like to call them, some golden bulbs. Silver dollars, look how nice they look in the big shoal. There's a blue acara, electric blue acara. A baby Oscar looking at me, so some fish here that can go well together in a big tank. Albino Oscar. Electric blue jack Dempsey's. One more big tank. Some red parrots. There's another Malawi. I think that's a peacock in there. And then the South American cichlids. The deacon, a normal green deacon or severum. It's a kissing gourami. I had one in a community tank of smaller fish. It's got a mouth that sucks, it doesn't bite down. So around feeding time they get a little bit chasey of other fish, but then they settle down. As a single specimen fish in a big community tank, they tend to work well. But you've got to have a size tank for it. Yeah, this is for child and dog. There's a Mr. Knucklehead. Flowerhorn cichlid. You can see that cock or nuchal hump on the head is growing. I think it's a young male, but I could be wrong. It does look like a young male. The females are less pronounced. There's a marine section. Green chromis. Some living rock. That's about as cheap as it's going to get for a marine fish. Not a lot going on here. There's a brittle star. And a turbo snails. When I had a small marine tank, these kept the algae and even the slime algae, the cyanobacteria at bay. There's some more. Not a huge amount of marines today. Here's a cleaner wrasse. Solo surgeon here. He's coming to say hello, and he's gonna set you back a cool $3,000. So that's for when you know what you're doing. Some living rock and some more tangs or surgeon fish. Some corals and a bit of fish. Cardinal fish. Okay, let's look at the dry goods. All the space for the jewel tanks. Some big aquarium systems here as well. Cabinet and sump system, just under $30,000. It's about 1.5 meters. A sort of traditional boyer system the Chinese make. I've got one of these and a big piece of spiderwood. What I like about the spiderwood, the smaller pieces, when you put them in the tank, they leach some sugars because they're actually root balls of plants, and then it causes a sort of a fungal slime. And your autosynclus algae eaters, your bristlenose catch your ancestors as well as especially your shrimp. Sometimes they come in from the shop underfed and they'll feed on that slime, clean it up, and it gives them a very good nutritional boost in the beginning. So go through that break-in phase when the tank is of course matured with a filter and everything. It's a good starter food for when you put those algae eaters and shrimps in. Quite a selection of lights here. Your Z light, the beams work, and there's still even fittings here that use your old T8, of which I would stay away from. It's old technology. You've got your reef salt. Some tanks. It's a 4-foot tank. But taller than your standard. All the fancy ones on cabinets. Little pond here, made in a big flower pot. Your jewel tanks, and also your more standard tanks. And you can make it look really nice with some Quarix board and Velcro to make a sort of a cabinet or to cover up a stand. And you can make it a small rim, and you can make it look very, very nice, and it doesn't have to cost that much. Quite a nice variety. If I have to do seawater again, I use one of the smaller versions of this tank. I'll do this one. It's about 130 liters. It's a nice size. I think it's just beyond nano size, but it's not big either. Not that big. Can't put it on your desk, but not that big. It's got the whole filtration system, the skimmer and everything integrated there. And you can see there's LEDs in the hood. And here we have your more standard sort of starter kits. We pay a lot for these imported tanks. You see, almost 2,000, but then the gravel and everything comes with it. But I would rather buy it separately and go for this. This was my first tank, was that size, 46 by 32 by 32, 18-inch tank. That's 10 gallons in the American lingo. You see, you can pay a lot more for that. I don't personally like the clown vomit, but if the kids like it, as long as you take care of it and the fish are healthy, who cares? All shapes and sizes. Even some pond products. Let's slip through here. I've spotted another display. Ooh, very nice betta here. Look at this fellow. Nice planted setup, aqua swell. And Jules got that filtration system integrated inside the tank. Quite a nice looking unit. You see the big pectoral fins, it's a Dumbo betta or Siamese fighter. Very nice. Pond products. Nano tanks, the small ones. I recommend for a start you go bigger. You really have to keep your finger on these small nano tanks. Here's some more fancy ones. I'm not a fan of that sphere. It's a little small for most fish, or almost all fish. And then you got these tiny little tanks. And these are good for shrimp. It's a good size for shrimp. You can see there, only 6.5 liters. Too small for fish, but you can keep a bit of plants and shrimp in there. This is almost 5 gallons. I'd say this is a minimum. You're going to keep some small nano fish in there, or maybe a single betta or Siamese fighter. Can work out nice. Not a fan of these unless you change water all the time. Automatic fish feeder. All the usual doodads, medication, aquascaping tools, magnet cleaners, brine shrimp hatchery, filter media, matting, filter wool. This is handy, crushed coral, where when you need to buffer your pH a bit. All the Seachem products. I do like the Seachem range. I think most of them work really well. Some you have cheaper alternatives for. Seachem Matrix really just pumice stands and some test kits. These are supposed to give you alerts when there is ammonia or pH dropping in an aquarium. I've never used it. Any of you guys have? Leave a comment, tell me if it works or not. All the big brand foods, Aquarium and Tetras. Some frozen food. I like Ocean Nutrition. You know the food's clean. These camp cons for cheaper bloodworms in there, I'm a little bit wary of them. Not my favorite. Sometimes they carry in harmful bacteria. But I would rather pay more and get those. You get those ottos or plecos and they are sort of malnourished, undernourished. They do go for these Aquarium algae wafer snails as well. That's a good way of fattening them up quickly. I do think over time the fish tend to overeat on them. Some of the fish, I had a dwarf gourami that just couldn't leave the stuff away and it looked like a balloon eventually. Plastic plants. Some small starter CO2 kits. A Seachem range of fertilizers. Good brand. Gets a bit complicated to use for me, for my taste. Here's the Easter Aqua Soil. It's a cheaper brand than you get the ADA. If you want to start and try out Aqua Soil, I'll start with this. I've used it to good effect. Seachem fluorite, the Seachem red fluorite. It's a good one in the sense that it contains iron. If you want to do the plenum system like Given Novak says on his channel, this is something you need. Another little Nano display. There's a bright white Dumbo Betta. It's not for sale, but it'll set you back a pretty penny. Expect to pay at least $300 or more for this boy. And same with that longfin albino bristlenose. Look how nice a Christmas moss is coming here. One of these fluval tanks with a little aqua clear at the back. Trying to remember the name. Some plants. There's some small crypts there. I think I'll take home some of that. I can use that in one of my tanks. I like getting the crypts small, it's not so very expensive. And they'll grow in over time. I find they're less prone to melting when you get them smaller. Some really big Anubias. And I think these is Gouramis crispatula. Got some of these as well. If you buy them big like that, they melt down a little bit and then they come back. I get them a little smaller. Oh, your big hang on back. Nice thick pipes if you want to speed up those water changes. The old faithful sponge filters. Aqua clears and the tidals. There's a big debate among people who prefers what. I've had the aqua clears. I've got still two of them in my garage. I need to replace an O-ring that leaks. And I have a tidal 55 now in one of my tanks. This is all that would fit in behind the wall if I didn't want to move a tank because it's been there, it's going so long. I run one of these as well. I like the way that it's got a spray bar, the TF800. Heaters, all load shedding. Got one of these running the big sponge filter and the big tank for when the power goes off. The Tetra APS has got the reputation as the quietest air pump, but I'll tell you something, this crawfish one is just as quiet. I've got some of these on my tanks. It's a less expensive light. I think it's similar to the Haiger, but it's a no-name Chinese brand we get here in South Africa, and I think it works very well. This is a cheaper light, also works well. Got it on a Nano tank. I think everything is going LED and those submersible lights. I don't like a disco effect, it's not for me, but then again, it's up to you. old school T8 bowls, backgrounds, and as you can see, lots of substrate. Well, that's it, Petworld XXL, Somerset West. Pay them a visit. And until we see each other again, enjoy fish keeping.